Call the meeting to order with everyone present. There are assisted living or listening devices over here if anyone needs one. I don't know how mic yet.
No, I saw him walk up to the door and then he turned around and went back, so.
I guess we'll take a minute.
Or he didn't want to see this, I'm not sure.
It's a busy week last week.
And the first item on the agenda, Kueny, County Engineer Road Project updates. Morning, Mike.
I thought it was tour guide.
Tour guide also.
Yeah. You said in the report about taking you all out there.
That went very well.
All right, this last meeting, the annual reports have still not been reviewed by the DOT. The bridge deck report on Tuesday. Engineer's office is coordinating with IT. This is all the same stuff as last week. Bridge 208E mitigation has been purchased. Project is moving forward. We will have our initial plans in by the end of the month.
208E, that's south Jet.
Jack,
Yeah.
that's right there next to the county border. Frankville Road, road work for 2024 is complete.
That was scheduled for 26 or 25.
Yes, 26.
26.
Fiscal 26. So, Frankville Road, 2020, or excuse me, W14 full place operation finished on Thursday. Overlays will begin. The discussion is sometime this week is the last I heard. I haven't heard anything else. The discussion between staff and contractor is talking about Monday days, so that's kind of our.
What kind of timeline will that take once the paving project starts?
I don't really know. I think the last I heard was that they had they were working on or hadn't quite finished in Howard County. So, like I said, that's going to have to be a discussion that I have probably this week. Bridge 313 is open. 317A, the flat cars have been set. They're going to be looking to finish this week. Speed study for Middle Hesper is ongoing. Subdivision ongoing. We've made a couple of changes to the phone this week. Canoe Ridge Out of Steel project is placed. Striping operation, we just contacted the farmers for the striping just today, so we'll be looking at the end of the month to stripe that. Paperwork to DNR has been filed to resolve the situation for the equipment malfunction. Upcoming union negotiations are being prepared. I probably work with Ben on that, maybe.
And work with Dan and Shirley.
Okay.
And John Anderson.
Does on Monday work best for your schedule, Dan?
I'll have to
Waiting to
look
hear
at
from us.
what days they actually are. And kind of, I don't know.
I said it's mainly dependable on your schedule.
I'm not sure exactly what I need to be doing on that or what the expectations are from me. So just be in touch with me as we go along on that. Okay. Genco is continuing their work. They crack-filled A46 Highlandville Road and finishing Trout Run today. They should be finished with their operation on W46. I would anticipate Wednesday or Thursday. So FEMA events have been submitted to Grantsport FEMA's grants portable and the EM grants for Iowa Homeland Security for category C documentation. We submitted roughly $109,000. We met with the FEMA and Homeland Security auditors on Wednesday. Iowa Homeland Security has awarded money pending final submittal. So we had just, this morning we submitted that final submittal and have not, that has not been acknowledged by Homeland Security. That's the 10%. The 75% from the federal government is through FEMA, and we have received that paperwork yet. It's in process. The water.
It can take a while too. Sometimes it's a year or more after you've submitted before you actually get any money.
That is the, what, category A and then category C are also different submittals, so I'm guessing it's gonna be.
Why?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It'll be when it ever is.
It's not easy, let me put it that way.
Wait.
But Homeland Security has been on it, so we should see, like I said, 10% roughly of that 109,000. So that would be nice. The water shutoffs in service that malfunctioned last weekend were repaired on Wednesday. My new vehicle is now in service. And then we're trying to provide in-floor heating for the shops. So it's kind of a goal. It's something that the crew all said they wanted. We're going to try to install that into the Ridgeway shop first and see how it goes. So we've taken estimates and quotes on that. The idea here being that they can be able to start their engines up right away in the mornings and get going in snowstorms, and also it should be a safer floor so that way, because it's heated and
Keep the floor dry.
yeah, it keeps the floor dry.
Really dry.
So
Yeah.
everything should be.
Rises so to warm the trucks faster than blowing the top. So
Yep. So there's lots of I'll call it fringe benefits that I think should have to be material. We're gonna try to install that. A little pricey, but this shop needs a little, I'll call it makeover anyways. So with that, that's my report.
What about the local shop?
The local shop,
We deferred that? Yeah, but we deferred that now, or?
I wouldn't say it's deferred. It's a local project. We need to get the design. I would say we need to get the design done. It's in our budget. So
Any idea when we do that, or?
right now I don't. I've been meaning to get on that end of things. So no.
We're discussing the new employee handbook later. Did you get a chance with your team to go over your section pretty thoroughly?
We did go
Sign
over
off on
that.
it.
Yes, and
Great.
I've been in direct contact with Holly. So
At the port location, are we going to be able to put the recycled dumpsters there at the Fort shop location?
I think that is that what Greg borrowed that from me? Yes, I believe that we already answered that with Greg. That was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. I know that we got the Fort City Council meeting will be coming up, and they were concerned about that because of the chip sealing down on there by their community center. They wanted to preserve that.
Yeah, I already passed that on. I made sure with Jeff and Darren that they were fine with that, and they both said don't see any issues with it. So
Do we have any upcoming equipment purchases?
well, we have the maintainer that is going to the Ridgeway shop. That's probably already at Ridgeway now.
it is.
So
It's up and about.
yeah, I saw it there on Thursday. I saw it in the main shop, I think on Thursday, and I think it's over in Ridgeway now. And so that will be paid for this month. So
Any trucks or anything else in the works?
I haven't heard anything on the tractor that we're supposed to be getting, and no, to your question, no. But
Who would it be looking at? I mean, looking at in here coming up shortly.
I sent the article to the board regarding the fleet maintenance stuff, and I will be looking at tandem trucks pretty heavily because of that, trying to get a newer fleet of tandem trucks, a larger portion of them, so that when regulations hit, we're not paying for the newest technology that hasn't been tested.
So, and to your question on that Nesty property, Barb Schrader is a little busy, I guess, so she's putting this off a couple weeks before she comes to dock.
She had sent me an email on that,
Okay.
so
She called me like,
They're hosting that conference this week.
Today, yeah, I think it's.
So they've been busy with that. It's a big deal.
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's the state conferences up here.
Okay,
State conferences, so there's I don't know how many people coming in, maybe tours and seminars and speakers and stuff.
okay.
and maybe Ben can allude to it too, that at one point there was $100,000.
There, the $100,000 in the infrastructure fund that was pledged to that road. And we had it in the infrastructure fund for 2 or 3 years in a row because we didn't know when she was gonna build it. Well, now we don't have an infrastructure fund anymore, so when it comes time to build that road, we're gonna figure out where that money's coming from.
Or how much is it gonna be built?
I will to board guidance on that.
So you want anything else, Mike?
That, like that bridge tool, will that be probably 2 years down the road yet or next year?
We're looking at trying to get it let so that we can have, say, hopefully May
From next year,
of 2025.
from next year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, I mean, we've gone final on these plans a couple of times now. So, we're not far, so. We'll, the whole process just has to start over and then.
And I'd say, I think we had a pretty successful road trip last weekend.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah,
it's good to see a lot of those projects.
Bridge 5 looks a lot nicer now, with concrete.
How's
Pretty hard.
that's,
Yeah, they were covered it in burlap and pumped the water out of the creek onto the top of the bridge to
Keep it cool.
yeah, keep it cool, speed up the curing process.
did you go out and visit it when they were doing that? Okay.
Yeah,
That-
just a mile down the road, so it's kind
Sure.
of easy to get to.
Sure. Yeah, I got there out probably around 4:30 on that Tuesday, so didn't get to see all that, but yeah. I don't have anything else.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Consent agenda?
The minute and a liquor license for Twin Springs Soccer Club.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, passes unanimous. Committee reports.
We have a rural waste workshop tomorrow, Mark and I. Analyzing data and looking at recommendations and different things.
I've been having, visiting out there at the locust site, and if we have 1,000 or more registrations, and that's information I'll be getting later today, I hope, and you guys have discussed at your meeting. I really think that we could leave this program alone and not do placards or stickers or anything which costs even more money. There's not anybody abusing the system at this time. So keep that in mind as you guys meet next week.
What is yet to be found is the about 300 where we have license plates and we don't have any registrations. And we have found that we've now, but there are numerous commercial entities that are using it and dumping their waste in there, and now
The monitors are.
monitoring, turning that around, and other local businesses are complaining about their dumpsters being full and so forth. So we still have a bit to uncover, it would seem.
But I think that the fervor around the whole thing, I really think the end, what we're gonna find is that the users are all really decent people that use this appropriately. And the monitors are catching those commercial entities and will continue to, and we can crack down on that. But the expenditure of placards or decals, just consider maybe we just leave it alone and save money by collecting that ourselves with the recycling trucks and the recycling containers, that we already have the capacity to do it. So that could save money on the program too.
Well, it's still up in the air. All of that is
Right.
a possibility. Yes.
Saying all that should be taken into consideration when you guys meet.
Mark and I had a couple meetings this last week. One was the security board meeting.
Discussing.
Basically, security measures leading up to the upcoming election and toying with some type of lock system for
Universal card to get these, one or both of these doors, and the east and west on the courthouse and one door on the community service building. So
Like our fobs.
Yeah,
fob deal
fob
or
type system.
card or fob deal to get rid of some keys.
John Halverson had checked on the Smith building to see if it was worth taking that system off there, and it was.
Then we also met with
DHS
DHS, HHS,
or they call themselves on this.
keeps changing.
Yeah.
And that move is looking pretty positive at this point. But since some of the rooms that are gonna be utilized are getting changed a little bit, since public health is not gonna move into that building, we had to do another footprint thing. So John Lukey was, I don't know if he got it done this weekend or not, he was talking about doing it on
Yeah, we
Saturday.
went down after we met, and we walked through there, and he was gonna go down that afternoon.
Oh, he was.
2:30 after Spectrum got done with after their people were gone.
Okay, what it basically is it sets up a camera. And then it does a 360-degree rotation of every room, everything, gives a walkthrough of the building to mail that to them, since that.
So they know
space
exactly,
changed a little bit, so.
So you'll be presenting to the full board any layouts or changes to that building coming up to accommodate for DHS.
Basically, the take, I sat in on one meeting, the take was, since public health wasn't planning to move soon, since they're still kind of in flux, that we don't have to make hardly anything
we don't have
change.
to make any changes.
You can just, they'll be able to move in.
Maybe move one door.
That's great.
Because the Spectrum office space will stay Spectrum office space instead of building another office space in the Spectrum side, so
Move one.
there's a lot of cost savings and measures there.
Yeah, we have, at that building tomorrow, the fire sprinkler people will be there to make those corrections so that we have the proper sprinkling of those in that front area, plus that other area that potentially sometime in the future could be changed. So they'll put 2 drops down there, which is all part of the same thing. So it keeps us to where that building is properly sprinkled and meets all the code requirements.
Can you please get a public health update on an agenda coming up?
It's on the agenda for like 2 or 3 weeks from now, so
Okay.
soon as they could.
Unless you could get in.
Yeah.
Great. And then just to go back to the whole election safety thing, I know this came up at our conferences in Des Moines too. There is no, Ben and his staff are amazing. There is no election fraud or worry of that in this county.
We're talking about security.
Yeah.
So-
I don't want that to cause any worry in our community.
No, we're
that anything
just-
happen, we're good.
Right, we just are trying to be proactive and having a little more law enforcement presence on election day and so on.
Without overdoing it.
Right,
That's what Dan was really worried about.
We just talk to them and you know, tell the people working just to be a little more professional or whatever, or just well, if they're asked.
Because once in a while, they feel like when they enter an election site, all of a sudden people are like nervous because, oh, is there something going on here?
no, we're just,
When it's not.
we're just working
not
it out.
point to be made, it's just, is everything going okay? They give them a thumbs up and
Way to
they'll
go, yeah.
move on to the next site, but just to ensure everything's going like it should.
Is there going to be a site at Luther?
There's not an election day site at Luther, but they petitioned for a satellite voting station at
For
Luther.
early voting.
Well,
Their voting site is Good Shepherd.
Good Shepherd Church, yeah. There can only be one
Yeah.
polling location per precinct.
Right.
And so that's the one we've been using forever. So for that precinct.
all right, move on. We have a couple miscellaneous items this morning. First of all is approve the updated employee handbook.
Yeah, so we've been working on this for several months. Department heads have been sending in corrections and requests, and we've been contracting with our HR attorneys at Lynch Dallas. So they've presented what they think is the final version of the updated handbook. So I emailed that out ahead of time so you could look at it.
I've just got a couple. I don't know if it printed weird because it's a PDF, so maybe these aren't problems on the real
Yeah,
document.
I don't know for sure. I
Let me
didn't look
just
at the
give you mine.
It's formatting issues, right?
Formatting issues and a couple of typos. Yeah. But want me to just give them to you and you can forward them on? I dog-eared pages where I have comments.
Thank you.
Your has changes.
Thank you, Shirley.
You're welcome. It might be just because it's a printed PDF that they didn't line up for pages for the titles on the pages they say they're on. So just check that and then the
Like the
dog.
title was on the previous page before it goes to the
Yeah,
next or
yeah.
something like that.
So what I marked on the cover may not be applicable, but the dog-eared pages is something you can just, they're just little things here and there.
Anyone like to take action on that?
It's a resolution if you decide to.
And all the department heads and their teams have signed off on it already. That's the main concern, is that employees and department heads
What
were
about,
involved in this process.
what about the comments that Michael made this morning? They sent off did they send off some corrections to Lynch Dallas?
They did, and those have been incorporated. They had actually had a meeting with Lynch Dallas to make sure their that specific section was accurate.
And Dan Marks did that and Sean did that too for their appendix.
Yeah, for their appendices,
Yeah.
yes.
Then if all those people have signed off, I would make a motion to approve the resolution for the new employee handbook with corrections as noted.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to approve the updated employee handbook with the corrections. Is there any further discussion? If none, it is a resolution.
Aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
I also passes unanimously. Next up, under miscellaneous, discuss timeline, procedure, and job description for hire of new recycling supervisor.
Want me to begin?
What's that?
Ready to begin?
Sure.
At the very top under job summary, do we want to say managing the Winneshiek County Recycling Center or leave it as for managing county recycling operation? We want to be more specific.
I wouldn't put the center because it is part of the recycling operations that go throughout the county. Like your sites and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
You're okay with it as is? Okay.
I think so.
Yep.
All right. Then the other thing I had is under the major duties, I wonder if we should add something to the effect of seeks continuing educational opportunities in recycling when possible, not requiring it, but encouraging them to attend recycling conferences to increase their level of education on what's happening in recycling across the state and the country. Not requiring them to, but encouraging them to.
Yeah, I thought something should be in there about efficiencies and developing new markets. As part of that, seeking out new markets and efficiencies. Because it doesn't really say that anywhere. But I think that should be really a priority. There's lots of potential, lots of opportunity. And I also think that strong management skills is going to have to be at the top.
I agree with Mark.
I think we've got
Absolutely.
good operation, and but we just probably need to have good, strong management skills.
I think that's in there, the knowledge required.
Yes, manage, supervise, and participate.
And then-
So it's knowledge of personal management principles.
And knowledge of budget development and management principles is also there. Knowledge of personnel management principles. So I think management is covered pretty well, but I really think this person we're looking for needs to have a passion for continued education
Well,
in the
that,
field
that would probably go into the knowledge instead of the
within a
major
different
duties.
section.
Instead of major duties. I just trying to look for a place that
There's a lot of knowledge there. Like,
You want to add it?
foreknowledge things there, which maybe, like I said, I think the new markets and efficiencies can be highlighted.
Do you want to add a bullet point that says something to the effect, under knowledge required by the position, something to the effect of possesses a passion for continuing education in the field of recycling? The more knowledge we have in the person running the recycling department on new efficiencies and ways of recycling, the better we are as a county. I think it's important enough to put in the
I definitely agree with, so we need to encourage them to seek further training.
You're just wondering where to put it in the
Mhm.
job description.
And the language shall attend one recycling conference or related type educational opportunities per year, period.
Well, I think that when we talked about earlier, Ben was a little bit uncomfortable with the word shall, because if they have,
If possible.
if the conference falls on their
Yes.
family vacation or something, we don't want to reprimand them for being able.
But they've got an
to
entire year to schedule.
How often are there conferences?
There's one Iowa conference per year. So do you want to change it from shall to encourage? And Ben, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I would. Just what I said before, I would never use a required education because it does sometimes have conflict and.
Yeah.
Someone has a doctor appointment or a family commitment and they
Right.
can't go to the training, they don't want to, you don't want to have them be insubordinate for not attending the training.
We shall attend unless there's a personal conflict on the day. Or something,
Well,
you
just
know,
when possible.
That'd be okay.
I mean,
That'd be
you
all
can
right.
say, yeah, we encourage you to do it. Well, that just didn't work for me because I had something else going on that
It's not
day.
working
And it
for us
was-
now.
Right, you're right.
I mean, if you have a very good excuse. I understand it.
Well, I think it's a good idea. Bouncing off what Steve just said, say shall, and then in parentheses, unless it conflicts with a personal commitment.
Because the other, we're lagging, we're definitely lagging behind. It's a nice way to put it.
Would you like to restate your sentence?
I think we can, I would agree with Dan's addition to it. There's a personal conflict. But it's gotta be, it should be something serious. We've got a mess now.
Oh,
Maybe it's an improved personal conflict.
Yeah. Maybe by then we'll have an HR director in the future.
so for now, what do you want the statement to say? You want to repeat it?
They shall attend a minimum of one educational opportunity for recycling each fiscal year, barring approved personal conflict.
That sounds good.
I think not shall, is will.
Will.
The other thing I wondered under contacts, can you go to that part of the, I'm wondering if the county landfill manager needs to be added specifically to this list of people they'll be working with and their contacts. Because that they go so hand in hand.
Especially, they're working with TJ on that rural waste collection, and dumpsters are also collection sites. Recycling bins are those same sites. So I think there's efficiencies that can be worked if they're going to dump off one to pick up another, which means they're gonna have to,
They'll be working together.
they'll have to
a
work
lot.
together. We want to put in there someplace about developing new markets directly and efficiency, work on efficiencies.
Sure. Knowledge required for the position. Deal with that opening new market, new recycling market opportunities. Is that what we're suggesting?
And efficiencies. Put both in the same.
That's-
I think they would
Great.
fit together just.
Markets and
Yeah.
efficiencies. Are you recording this, Ben?
Oh, well, I'm still trying to get the wording right of the first one, so.
Should we go over them again just briefly?
Yeah, so I got for the first one, will attend a minimum of one recycling conference or continuing education opportunity per year, except for a scheduling conflict of an approved personal
And a personal
conflict matter. I've already used the word conflict.
personal matter.
And then the other one was in which section? Was that in knowledge required? as well?
That was the knowledge.
Okay.
required.
Then contacts, you want to add,
I think we just need to specifically say the Winneshiek County landfill manager, or whatever TJ's official title is.
Or sanitary landfill.
Solid waste agency manager, whatever.
the Winneshiek County Solid Waste Agency.
Actually, the skills for market opportunities and efficiencies might fit under major duties instead.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mhm.
ability to develop
New, re- new.
New markets and
New market
efficiencies
opportunities. And
and efficiencies of operation.
I wouldn't say ability to, I would say manages new efficiencies and new markets. Because that's under duties. That's where you want it.
manage efficiency improvements.
Could have it be more of an action verb as part of the first word instead of ability, because that's possessing. That would be under the knowledge base. But under major duties, I think it should be a word that,
develop new market opportunities and
Yeah.
efficiency improvements.
yeah. I'd move.
I have one other question. When we have, we have under major duties, sorts and grades recyclable materials. They're not really involved.
No, you shouldn't.
Except that we want to make sure that whoever we find understands that that room handbook fits everything. That they need to be able to help out on the floor when needed if they're short-staffed.
I agree with you in that statement. I think that the way that we're stating it is probably a little bit overkill. It seems like you're a line worker instead of meeting a variety of needs.
Should be worded a little different, like oversees the cleaning. I mean, it's like he's supposed to go out and sort and grade and then clean and organize shop there. That's.
If he's doing that, he's not doing the rest of his job, I'm afraid.
I disagree. I think that a good leader, when needed, they pitch in and help everybody.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But if we're giving the appearance of you're on the line and you do everything else,
But
we don't want that.
I think we could take sorts and grades out of there because it's kind of included in the first one, manage to participate in the processing of recycled materials. So it's kind of
Yeah,
redundancy
there you go.
to have
that's
sorts
a good idea. I
and
agree.
grades recycled out.
That's a good way to.
Delete third from the bottom.
Because the first one kind of says it all.
You're right.
Is the next one down, cleans and organizes, is that covered in that too? Manages, supervises and participates in?
I would say.
I would say
Get
so,
rid of
yeah.
them.
But leave the last bullet in because that kind of covers it all
That
too.
just fills in the gaps.
Well,
In the
This,
interest of moving this along, I'd love to see us approve this with corrections discussed so we can get this out and advertised.
how about on their shreds documents for, are they going on to shred documents? I mean, isn't that just part of what their job would be? We do it. We do a lot of things out there. We don't call them out specifically.
It falls under that first bullet point again. is what
Yeah.
you're saying, yeah.
I think that's redundant.
You guys agree?
We've got management, handling household. I mean, everything on there falls under that top category.
I think
I would just,
Doesn't hurt.
you start scratching half the things out of there. And you got the monitors and maintenance of buildings, grounds.
Which basically
Explains the loading, unloading of trucks. I mean, they're all. You got about 2 crossed off and there's 3 more. There's 4 more in the same category of what's manages and supervises and participates in the processing and recycling.
They could all be,
Shippable forms.
all of those could be secondary bullet points under the first one to just be clear on what we're talking about in the first.
that cleans and organizes.
You know what I mean?
Falls under monitors, maintenance and building and ground.
Yeah, that's a double.
Should we just pull those all out that fit under the first one and have Ben put them under as secondary bullet points under that first bullet point. So they're all spelled out under the first one.
If you did that, then you, go to shreds documents for all these, this would, shredding documents. Quick way of,
Because you got 7 of them that would fall into the same category. Starting with monitors, maintenance, buildings, all the way down to cleans and organizes. There's 7 that
I agree.
you got that are all.
So Mark. These 7 here.
It starts with monitors, maintenance, buildings, grounds, to cleans and organizes the shop. That's 7.
These are the ones you talked
Yep, and 7, yep. Starts at.
move all those, leave those 2 in that we had crossed off and just put them all in under that first bullet point.
I just have it marked on here, Ben.
Yeah.
So at least 7 go in as sub bullet points to the first one.
Yeah.
well, do we need performance related duties? Or can that be put in the first?
You always need to catch all in, Mark.
Sometimes it's
Other
other duties
As assigned.
Other things as a sign. Works well. We don't just turn off the lights, but that goes with it.
about.
Do we need to,
Carved this one up pretty good. Go ahead.
do we, would we want to include that they obtain a CDL?
No, they're gonna put them out on the road because he's gotta stay in the plant. He's gotta stay in the office. He's not,
Yeah,
we're not gonna put him on the road. That's, no.
Or she. Whoever.
Yeah, no.
All right, like I said, we got that carved up pretty good now. Hope Ben.
Ben has a little red there.
He's got a hot red on his piece of paper. What kind of timeline are we looking at?
That'd be fine, putting the advertising for it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that we shouldn't, can we not put a deadline on the
Application.
application so that we leave this open until we find the best person we can?
Agreed.
I think so.
Basically just word the application.
I mean,
process is open until.
Filled.
It's filled.
No,
What is our real timeline out there as far as that needing someone in place? What's that look like?
John is on medical leave right now,
Right.
so, and he'll be back for, and could be a couple months of overlap then.
So he'll be he wanted to retire the first week of
Or, yeah,
February.
like the first week of
Week
January.
of January.
Do we want some overlap for training purposes?
Yes.
In our heads, are we thinking that?
Yeah.
I think your golden would be to get someone on by,
November.
yeah, 1st of November-ish.
So just, we all have that in our head. Preferred
Because the
deadline.
1st of November, because you're gonna have 2 big holidays in there that are gonna disrupt contact time.
Because in all reality, November 1st isn't very far away.
no, 6 months. So,
No, I think we
Before
should,
you blink.
I think we should include, make sure that we include our sanitary landfill director as part of that, of the
Hiring.
consensus of hiring because of his close relationship and the interconnection.
I agree.
To just make both agencies.
Yeah.
Function better.
Better
together.
together.
Because what happens in recycling impacts what goes in through the longevity of our landfill.
Well, and I also think on the efficiencies, things of monitoring the waste sites and recycling things.
Which is why we purchased trash bins and do the hauling at Kendallville and whatever, the ones on the west side was where we're hauling them because they're taking, switching bins,
Recycling.
this recycling and trash bins at kind of the same time, so.
I think the goal would be to just move it all to our purview, coordinate all that.
So as far as getting this, making the changes to the job description, then where will we be publishing this other than area papers? I'd like to see it go a little bigger.
There must be professional journals or sites out there.
I don't know anything about any of that.
I wonder if TJ,
TJ, ask TJ
There's
to get
there's
some ideas.
trade magazines. So we'll get that information to you.
About a magazine that's usually about a month out.
we can check with
Time
the,
wise, that may not be helpful.
We haven't had much luck in that process.
I wonder if Ross would know.
We'll also look and see, and we'll check with TJ and other recycling professionals in the state and see where they would advertise. And make sure we're covering our bases here.
Could consult with Ross and
Yeah.
Howard County to see what you might suggest where we'd advertise.
And John Markenfeld again, John's here at the IRC.
Yep.
Right. So we can certainly begin with the local media and our website.
I think we have.
Yeah, our policy requires a minimum of publishing in the official newspapers and posting it on the bulletin board in the courthouse.
Good. Let's get started with that. All right, next item on the agenda, canvass of the September 10th, 2024 special school board election.
So this is the canvas making the results official, and I have them compiled here for the 3 ballot questions, 2 for Decorah and 1 for Howard Wynn. The 2 Decorah ones, we're the only county involved, so those are officially declared adopted. The 1 for Howard Winneshiek School, the results you canvass today will get forwarded to Howard County, and then they'll do another canvass next week to combine all of the votes. There is a rule that if your county has 150 or fewer voters in that district, that you can assign your running the election to the main county. So Almaquee County has 2 Decorah Community School District voters, so they assigned their voters to us for this special election. During the general election, they will have to have, because the Decorah School District has a ballot question on the November election, so they'll have to have special ballots for people who want to vote in that for those 2 voters. And then you'll have a secondary canvass a week later.
For those 2 voters.
For those, yeah. If they participate, but you have to have the second canvass, even if they don't participate, you still have to have the second canvass combining 0 results from Almaquee County, yours.
The way it works.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah. So we just need a motion to approve the results and certify the results and approve the summary.
Right, so move.
Second.
Motion, a second. Certified votes.
Does it all look good to you, Ben? As
Yeah.
far as what it needs to be?
Yep, it was everything went very smoothly, other than being a huge turnout.
You had to print more ballots?
We had to print more ballots, yeah. And so, we had just over 2,400 total votes. So,
Awesome.
there were over 1,500 that voted on election day. And I had only,
There's always a line when I went by.
yeah, there was no slow time. That one lady had her husband delivered her a pizza at lunchtime, and she took it home with her at 9 o'clock because she never had time to eat it. Yeah.
That's a long day.
Well,
It was a
thank you
very
to those-
long day and they worked really hard.
Thank you to those poll workers.
Yes.
And the ones coming up for the general.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
There are 4 papers that need signed by each of you.
Each of
Oh,
those.
each of us.
Yeah.
That's right.
Doesn't matter what color ink.
And you actually had to put in a little more work meetings. You had to run extra copies.
Yes, it was the ballots that aren't pre-printed can't go through the machine because of the security features made into the pre-printed ballot. So we're here probably an extra hour or so that night counting them by hand. But we had the post-election audit a few days afterwards and which means they count by hand, one randomly selected precinct, and of course, the Secretary of State randomly selected the big one. So they counted them again by hand, and it didn't change the outcome.
The ones that went through the machine and they.
Yeah, because they were all mixed together. If we had only, it is allowed on a special election to not use the machines and just do a hand counted ballots. In retrospect, that would have been easier because then we wouldn't have had to do an audit because the audit is really to check the accuracy of the machines. But the ballots were all mixed together, so there was no way to decide which ones they should count or not count. So they just had to recount all of them again.
And you were going off numbers of previous elections.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you only printed what you.
Yeah,
printed.
yeah, there was even, had I been, let's just order extra, there's no way I would have ordered that many. I mean, had I thought that, I'm gonna order extra, I probably wouldn't have got more than 2,000 ballots total. And because we've never had a special school election with over 2,000 votes, so,
It's wonderful. for that
yeah,
kind of
it
turnout.
is.
20%, 20.some% turnout.
Yeah, and that's a little skewed because if you look at the turnout results on the official results, they're counting all of both elections. So we were more we had 2,400 and there's more like 8,000 Decorah School District. Whereas that number included the Howard Wynn School District people, because they were having an election. They only had they only had 24 voters in Ridgeway. So they had the complete opposite issue of what the Decorah polling site did. They were sitting there
Doing nothing.
twiddling their thumbs most of the day, but
What was last year's or the last numbers that you were.
when the last special election that covered the same area, so the Decorah and North Winneshiek consolidation election, which happened about 6 years ago, there was just 900 and some voters for that election. Yeah,
So that's.
so just under 1,000. Yeah, and so I looked at that, and I also looked back at some of those really controversial East Side School, build a new middle school special elections, and those were in the 1,500 to 1,800 voter range. And so there was no way I could have anticipated it. So
Thank goodness for copy, man.
that's right. Yeah, and the ballot was on a weird size of paper because it was so long. So I'm glad they were able to accommodate us. Yeah.
So you're running around with this thing waiting to get a copy of it.
Well, it was an electronic file and I emailed them and called them and they got everything organized. Yeah, in the morning when we saw how busy it was, I started checking on
Copy.
copy prices, printing prices at that
We're
point.
lucky in Decorah to have two.
Yeah.
Unless we have the Luther Dock Center. So we've got two
And,
places to go to.
Not graphics, because they're going out of business.
Right.
But the one up, Letterworks.
Oh, they can do paper too?
Yeah, they do paper products too.
So three,
I didn't
we're
know
good,
that.
we're lucky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some of our departments have switched now to Letterworks to do like the envelopes for their office because we used to use Onenson, and then we went to graphics. Now those are gone, so now.
Yeah, I didn't know Letterworks did that. That's good to know.
That's a story I had not heard.
Doug left something here for us to read, as just an FYI to the Board of Supervisors, if you guys want to go over it. But
What's it pertain to?
Under stockpiling violation for a certain individual. I don't really understand why we have anything to do with that,
I
but,
don't know.
Oh,
but it's there for you to read. Move to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All
I
those in
just,
favor?
one question before, have we gotten a lease done with food pantry yet?
No, we haven't. Waiting on Andy on that.
Okay.
The meters installed for the.
It's, yes, in installing it, they learned that there were certain circuits that were not on the generator, and so it doesn't won't flow through the meter, but it's minor. I think one of the office areas and a few convenience plugs, so I don't think we're picking up all of the equipment, air conditioning, all of that aspect of it. But we'll be missing a small portion. I think that's minor by comparison. We just want to see the uses. So,
Yeah, the air conditioning and the.
yeah, all refrigeration, that's the big issue.
do we want that on the agenda for next week to finalize that lease?
I think maybe Andy did.
It's up to Andy to-
And we have a lease because we are continuing under their previous lease Spectrum. So it isn't like we have to do one, but
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's now adjourned.
Want it back in your mailbox or I've done it?
I've already read it.
Oh, okay.
My take on it, you know, they just have to move that one stock.
Their file, all they got to do.
On the weekend recovery.
yeah, it was a busy week, so. This helps me get ready for November, because that one I just know is gonna be busy, where this was more of a surprise.
Love is that you have a plethora of poll workers and.
I do. We have, if everybody we have about 12,000 active voters and about 15,000 if you count inactive voters as well, which. And there are voters that only vote once every 4 years, and they fall inactive after 2 years, and then they get active again, and then they'll.
You could either have 10,000.
Oh, yeah, when we did, it's normal to have 11 or 12. But we'll have all polling sites open, so not any one of them probably have that many.
Busy.
Yeah.
Communicate with their apps, printer.
Good, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Said that he was